His driver replied to him, telling him, "Isn't it better that way?" The man continued to talk as he said people are uncomfortable with the idea that warriors with special powers could be hiding among them, but the problem is they have to go to all this trouble just because it makes them uncomfortable. His driver continued to drive along the road. The driver asked him if he didn't seem very happy with his promotion to section chief. The man replied to his driver back that he was not happy since the last section chief died on the job. The man in the suit became a public servant because he hoped to have a nice, cozy retirement someday. He didn't want to die before he started collecting his pension. Still holding the iPads, he asks himself if he should retire now while he still can. He scrolled through the iPad he was holding, and seeing the picture of a student wearing school uniform, he said, "What kind of high schooler becomes a Muram warrior?" The driver asked him if he was referring to the kid they were going to meet. The man said yes, and most high schoolers have no right mind to choose to become warriors. The driver replied that he was extremely tight. A student in the school named Haje Kang was trying to commit suicide by jumping down from the roof of the school building. He said that he supposed it would be possible if someone encountered a legendary Muram warrior in their final moments. Haje Kang looked down. He has a lifeless look in his eyes, and nothing seems to matter to him. He took a few small steps forward, deciding to jump down. Suddenly, one of the students leaning on the rail asked him if he was going to jump down, which surprised him. He looked at his left side, seeing the student. He thought to himself how long the student had been standing there watching him. But he didn't care, as he had already written his suicide note. He was determined and finally going to jump down, and all he needed to do was close his eyes and jump. The student moved closer to him, knowing he was close. He said to him, "I wouldn't do that if I were you." The student told Haje Kang that they say people see their lives flash before their eyes right before they die, and all the good and bad times mixed together in one brief moment. The student made it known to him that those who commit suicide later regret it the most. After hearing this, Haje Kang felt awkward as he thought to himself, how would he know, and it is not like he has committed suicide before. He started crying as he shouted in agony that he tried to live, but that bastard Yunho Kim keeps making his life a living hell. He asked what he was supposed to do. He raised his clothes up and showed the scars on his belly to the student that he was with, telling him that Yunho Kim did this to him just because he didn't get him the right kind of snack from the cafeteria, and he slapped him in front of everyone and spit on him, pulling down his pants. Haje Kang told him that the funniest part was that Yunho Kim, whom he called an asshole, was the wrong person, but people treat him like shit. He lamented that every day is a complete hell for him and even asked his teacher for help, but the teacher always told him to stop causing trouble at school and learn to get along with the other students. He explained that why should he learn to get along with everyone when he is the one dying here and he can't take it anymore. He shouted in agony, shedding tears, and said that if the world is this messed up, he would rather not be in it. The student replied to him that if that's what he feels like, he pushed Haje Kang off the roof. He said maybe it wouldn't be so bad for him to see what death is like. Haje Kang continued to shout as he was flying in the air to the ground. He remembered when he was little, playing with his parents during his birthday, playing ball with his friend when he was in class, and everything Yunho had done, saying that it was all his fault. He wondered if that was how his life was going to end. He wished he could have at least hit Yunho once before dying. He said to himself that he didn't deserve to die like that. He landed on the ground. The next thing, he woke up from nurse's office bed. He was shocked by what he was doing in the nurse's office and wondered what the hell had just happened. He remembered when the student pushed him off the roof, and he wondered if he was actually dreaming or if that was a ghost. Just then Yunho Kim came, telling Haje Kang that he knew he would be in here and calling him a little shit. Yunho moved close to him and threw him against a door. Yunho was holding Haje Kang's suicide note. Yunho started making fun of Kang after reading Haje's suicide note, saying that it was so touching that it almost brought a tear to his fucking eye. Just then, Haje Kang realized that he wasn't dreaming. Yunho kicked him again, which caused Kang to cough. Yunho moved close to him, demanding to know why he skipped class to kill himself. He asked Haje why the hell he was sleeping in the nurse's office. Haje bent his head as he thought to himself that he really did write a suicide note and skip class. Just then, he remembered again when he was pushed off the roof. He folded his two hands together as he said all those things did not matter to him if it was a dream. Yunho Kim grabbed hold of his hair. He asked Kang if he was having trouble killing himself. Kang shouts in pain. Haje remembered telling himself that he wouldn't take Yunho Kim's bullying anymore. Yunho raised his hand, slapping him. Haje Kang was determined to fight back. He folded his hand and gave Yunho a punch in the face. But this had no effect on Yunho. He laughed, saying that Haje thinks he could fight back. Yunho raised his leg, kicked Kang, and he landed against the wall. He called Kang a weak fellow. Kang stood up. He positioned himself to receive any attack coming from Yunho. Yunho squeezed his hand, ready to hit him more. Haje said to himself that if he was going to die, he would rather die fighting that son of a bitch, referring to Yunho. Just then, Haje Kang saw the person who pushed him off the roof sitting on top of the fence. Yunho, seeing the person as well, asked him if he would mind screwing off, and he was a little busy. However, Yunho asked the fellow if he would like to join them, and he said he would like to call it Jinho Hyung. The figure jumped down, moving in Haje's direction. He said he might help him out this time. When he came to Haje, he started showing Haje how to stretch out his hands and how to fix posture. He asked Haje to give it a try. Yunho was watching, wondering what they were doing. The figure told Haje Kang to relax and that he could easily knock that jerk out in one hit. Yunho approached, trying to throw a punch at Kang. Kang dodged it swiftly. Kang gave Yunho a heavy punch that left him flying to the ground. He fainted. Haje couldn't believe what had just happened. Yunho Kim's friends, who were watching what was going on, asked Haje what he had done. Kang replied that he didn't do anything. The two friends of Yunho's came forward, trying to attack him. Haje did the same thing he did to Yunho, and both of them fainted. Haje Kang was super happy that he could beat Yunho and his friends. The figure praised Haje Kang, saying that he was really strong by taking them out in one hit. He told Haje that he didn't have to be such a pushover anymore. Just then, Haje Kang asked him who he was. Kang told him that he was the one who pushed him off the roof and brought him to the nurse's office. Haje tried attacking him, but he told Haje to calm down. Haje asked him again what he was, a ghost, an alien, or some kind of superhero. The figure replied to him that all that mattered was that he had helped him. However, Haje replied to him that he had made everything worse and didn't know what those guys would do to him if they woke up. The figure asked Haje if he wasn't afraid of taking a swing at a guy who could be a ghost, an alien, or even a superhero, and if he thought he would be an easier target than them. Haje was confused as he asked the figure what he wanted him to do: wake them up, be on his knees, and beg them to forgive him. The figure said nothing. Meanwhile, Haje Kang thanked him for saving his life. Haje Kang said to him that he didn't care if he was an alien, a ghost, or a superhero, and he couldn't believe someone would help him like that and wouldn't forget what he had done for him. Haje asked the figure to teach him how to be as strong as him. The figure said to him that he doesn't even know who he is, and how can he ask him for a favor like that? Just then, Haje told him that his name is Si-un Lee, a second-year student. He was shocked after Haje revealed his identity, and he asked Haje if he knew his identity. Haje begged him to make him strong and would do anything he asked of him. Si-un Lee was a regular kid who became a legend in the world of martial arts. Si-un told Haje that he was like that, begging someone the way Kang is begging him, and what he got in return was despair and frustration. He left Haje Kang. The man in a suit and his driver arrived at the school. When they arrived at the school, they met Si-un Lee. The man in the suit introduces himself as Junglip Lee, the recently appointed section chief at the Muram Special Affairs Bureau. Showing his card to Si-un Lee. Si-un collected the business card, and Junglip said that it wasn't what he pictured but that it wasn't a bad place for them to meet. Si-un Lee asked him why he wanted to see him, but Junglip said he just wanted to stop by. He asked Si-un Lee if he knew Gumun Ryong, the 9 Arts Dragon. Si-un Lee said nothing as he looked pale. As he didn't say a word, Junglip quickly uttered a word, saying it might be an uncomfortable question for him to answer. Junglip mentioned to Si-un Lee that his master was known as the greatest disaster in the world of martial arts, and he must have heard the stories about Gummunryong and how he became the head of the deadly terrorist group known as the Shadow Warriors. He also said they have been getting bolder ever since he became the leader, and they are now expanding their influence across state borders. He said if they continue going like that, they might take over the world, and he also heard that they have been reaching out to the world of martial arts lately. Si-un Lee asked him what he was trying to say. Jung Lip said he knows the government and the museum aren't supposed to meddle in each other's affairs, but they can't let an international terrorist group go around stirring up trouble in their own company. Jung Lip tells Si-un Lee that he wants to be very clear with him that if he knows anything about Gummunryong, Gummunryong is nothing more than an enemy to him, and so he shouldn't bother him with such nonsense ever again. Si-un Lee left them immediately. The driver asked Jung Lip what his first impression of Si-un Lee was. He said that Si-un Lee is quite something, and he expected him to be just some amateur based on what he was told, but he is a lot feistier than he imagined. He also looks forward to seeing Si-un Lee take a beating. Haje Kang was in the class, and his table was in a state of mess and his book was rumpled. He said to himself that it was normal life for him, but for some reason, after dying and coming back to life, he doesn't feel as threatened by anybody looking at him anymore. However, Haje Kang thought that the rest of the students in the class picked on him because they were on Yuno's side, but he realized that lots of them were actually worried about him as the students looked at him with pity faces. Also, Haje thought the students pretended not to notice all this time because they were afraid Yunho might come after them. Just then, Haje Kang looked down and remembered how he became Yuno's target in the first place. Haje was sitting in the class when Yunho slammed the door, calling his name and little shit. Haje stood up from his seat and told himself that he had promised himself not to let Yunho pick on him anymore, and if Yunho decides to fight, he will fight him back even if he can only get to punch him once. Suddenly, Yunho bounced at him, throwing Haje on the floor. He held his clothes and asked Kang not to dare look at him like that, and what was that all about earlier? He demanded Haje answer his questions. He threw Haje down again, and this time around, Yunho was on top of him, throwing several punches at him. Blood was running down Haje Kang's nose. The female class representative felt very sorry for Haje as she couldn't stand the beating anymore and stood up from her seat, telling Yunho to stop and begging him that lunchtime was almost over. Yunho stood up, facing the direction of the class rep, and asked her if she had just interrupted him. He was furious as he asked the girl if he knew who her dad was. Yunho said to her that his dad is the top lawyer at Kim Park, the best law firm in Korea, and if he causes any trouble in the school, wouldn't you like to know what will happen? How about I show you what happens when I cause trouble? Yunho said to her. Just then, Haje managed to stand up. He said to Yunho that he was the one he was supposed to be fighting with as he positioned himself, ready to fight. Yuno's friends and the students were worried that Yunho might kill him. One of the friends said it was not his problem, and he didn't want Yunho to turn against him. Yunho moved closer to attack, and his friend interrupted him, saying that Jinho Hung was calling him and needed to talk to him right now. Jinho called to ask Yunho to keep his hands off Haje. Yunho was surprised at how well Jinho knew Haje. Before leaving, he said to Haje that he was going to talk to Jinho and find out what was going on. Haje pondered what just happened. Jinho was the top dog in the school, a second-year student. Haje Kang couldn't believe why he would help him. Just then, he remembered his previous encounter with Yunho when he was trying to fight with him and saw a student on top of the fence, and Yunho asked him if he would really join them. As Haje was still pondering if Si-un Lee is Jinho, the class representative moved close to him, asking him if he was okay. Haje's nose was bleeding a lot, and the girl offered him a handkerchief to clean the blood. Haje used that opportunity to ask her if Si-un Lee was in her class. One of the students said yes, but he has not been in school in a while, and even their teachers don't know where he is. Another student said he might be dead. Haje Kang rebuked him for joking like that. Kang thought to himself who he had seen earlier. Was it a ghost? Haje started shuddering. One of the students who saw Kang shuddering said he was kind of freaking him out and he should snap out of it. Haje left the class, but he kept on thinking if Si-un Lee was a ghost. He said no, that it couldn't be, and Yunho and the other two of his friends definitely saw him as well. As he was still thinking, one huge guy called out first year, startling Haje. The huge guy placed his hands around his neck and told Haje that he needed to ask something from him. The guy told him that he didn't need to be afraid, just tell him what he knows. Kang replied to him, about what? However, Haje couldn't shake off the feeling that the guy looked kinda big for a high schooler. Haje was surrounded by 4 guys, and the big guy wanted to know who Sian Lee is, which Haje Kang mentioned earlier in their class. Just then, a pretty lady appeared to them, stating she wanted to have a talk just for a minute. She called out Haje Kang's name, demanding to know what was going on. The big guy said the lady should mind her business because they are having a little chat. The lady replied to him, stating that that is what they call it because she can see a bunch of big, tough guys surrounding a student covered in blood. One of the guys shouted that she should get lost or else. She quickly made a call, demanding the person come quickly as she was with some suspicious people. Immediately, the guys rushed to grab her phone, but she beat them up. The big guy noticed she was a Murum warrior,